Hello again, and welcome back to our series on Indigenous mental health. My name is Jasmine Peterson, and I'm a psychological associate at Sullivan & Associates Clinical Psychology. In this series, we are more specifically exploring some of the myriad effects of colonization and intergenerational trauma on the well-being of Indigenous peoples. Today, I want to talk about addictions. Addictions can be a particularly difficult and tricky topic given the number of negative stereotypes that pervade public consciousness. While addictions can have negative effects on the individual and the family, there are things we can do to gain control in our own lives so we can live our best life. Health professionals like psychologists, psychiatrists, and doctors have a specific definition of addiction that helps us to recognize and treat this condition. Based on the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, 5th edition, addiction, referred to as substance use disorder, is considered a disease or disorder that affects an individual's brain and their behavior, leading to an inability to control its use and resulting in serious negative effects in their personal lives that leads to dysfunction or disability at work, school, in their interpersonal relationships, and basic activities of living. A diagnosis of substance use disorder is based on 4 categories: impaired control, social impairment, that is all that work-life social dysfunction stuff, risky use, and pharmacological indicators, tolerance and withdrawal. It can be classified as mild, moderate, or severe. So where does addiction come from? Why does one person become addicted while another person can use substances casually with no concerns? This is a complicated question that scientists are still trying to answer, but there are some existing theories that help us to make some sense of addiction. There is well-supported evidence that suggests that the addiction process involves a 3-stage cycle: binge and intoxication, withdrawal and negative affect, and preoccupation and anticipation. This cycle becomes more severe as a person continues substance use. It produces dramatic changes in brain function that reduce a person's ability to control their substance use. There is also well-supported scientific evidence that shows that disruptions in 3 areas of the brain are particularly important in the onset, development, and maintenance of substance use disorders: the basal ganglia, the extended amygdala, and the prefrontal cortex. These disruptions, 1, enable substance-associated cues to trigger substance seeking, 2, reduce sensitivity of brain systems involved in the experience of pleasure or reward and heighten activation of brain stress systems, and 3, reduce functioning of brain executive control systems, which are involved in the ability to make decisions and regulate one's actions, emotions, and impulses. Simply put, people who experience addiction tend to require greater levels of stimulation and reward to achieve positive feelings because the reward center is less sensitive while stress centers are more sensitive. These changes in the brain are called neuroadaptations. Much like any other mental health condition, the risk for developing a substance use disorder can be environmental or genetic. According to the National Institute on Drug Use, up to half of your risk for developing addiction is hereditary. The environment in which we learn and grow can also impact our substance use behaviors. We may have seen a parent use substances in harmful ways, and although we internalize that we do not want to live like that, sometimes we end up doing what we see, not what we are told. Also, having absent parents due to substance use, traumas, or maybe involvement in the children's aid system can lead some to use substances due to limited supervision or as a means to cope with difficult emotions. Peers can also influence substance use behaviors. In psychology speak, dual diagnosis refers to the co-occurrence of substance use disorders and other mental health conditions. In particular, some mental health conditions greatly increase the likelihood of also experiencing a substance use disorder. Some of these include ADHD, depression, personality disorders. Based on survey research of those living in reserve, around 75% of respondents reported that they felt alcohol was a problem in their community. 33% indicated that it was a problem within their own household, and 25% said they had a personal problem with alcohol use. This is interesting based on national level data showing that only 66% of people living in reserve had reported consuming alcohol compared to 76% of adults in the general population. While there are many negative perceptions about Indigenous people and substance use, data consistently shows that Indigenous people actually have lower rates of substance use. However, there has been a trend in data that shows that those who do use tend to use more heavily rather than recreationally as compared to the general population. Because substance abuse tends to coincide with other mental health conditions like depression, anxiety, trauma, and so on, it then makes sense why some Indigenous people who use substances may go on to experience substance use issues. If you or someone you know struggles with addiction, there is help. There is hope. Sometimes it takes time to just be ready. Based on the Stages of Change model, there are 6 stages. The first, pre-contemplation. At this point, there is no thought of changing behaviors, maybe due to reluctance, feelings of hopelessness, or maybe because it is not yet seen as a problem for themselves. The next stage is contemplation. At this point, someone begins to consider that they might have a problem. The preparation stage is where the tides begin to turn, the problem is acknowledged, and a plan for action is made. Then comes action, implementing the plan. Once a plan is enacted, it must be maintained over time for success. And the last stage is twofold. In this stage, relapse can occur. Sometimes a stressor comes along and throws us off track. Sometimes success is prolonged and cravings end and are no longer an issue. People can move in and out of different stages at different times. It is not necessarily a linear process. But people can and do get through their addictions when they feel motivated and ready to do so, and when factors that can help in that journey align. Across Canada, First Nations people have access to treatment services if they are struggling with substance use. For a list of these services, you can visit the Government of Canada website. Ongoing therapeutic intervention can also help. Because substance use is generally associated with other mental health conditions, having a therapist help you to manage symptoms of whatever else you might be struggling with can help you gain control over your life and your substance use. And there is resilience to be found in culture and community. People who are connected to tradition and culture often have lower rates of mental health concerns and substance use. Join a drumming group, jump on the powwow trail, attend ceremony, smudge regularly, or connect with elders. These can all act as a source of strength and help you on your journey to sobriety. Thanks for watching today, and if you are struggling and feel ready for change, please reach out and find a therapist, a treatment center, or an elder that can help you get to where you want to be.